Welcome back to the most professional StarCraft 2 with a 9-time GSL champion, the Terran in the red, the man, the myth, the Maru. Facing off against the player who kept him from several more of those championships, the rank 1 Protoss in the world in the blue. It's herO. In a best-of-7 Terran versus Protoss semifinals to the $20,000 Maestros of the Game tournament. Before we get started, it'd be incredible if you could smash that like button, maybe even subscribe. It'll be kind of the algorithm. And Jimmy, what do we have? Yeah, it's them again. 1,870 likes on this video, on this cast. And I'll cast another one. And I'll probably do it anyways, because I don't know what else I'd do with my life. But thank you for watching. Hopefully, you've had a good day so far. Hopefully, it's about to get just a little bit better. As the first Zealot, hiding in the trees, popped out by the grenade. Maru catches it on the way across, but herO not to be outdone. Crouching Zealot, Hidden Reaper. Actually, no, really just Crouching Zealot and also Hidden Zealot because of the blocker. There's a Zealot in the trees. Adept is on its way across, and Maru's busy flirting with the Zealot, but herO's always throwing more shade. As things get started here, one of our last tournaments, if not our last tournament, on the old patch, the 12-worker start, the drama, the excitement, the bunker finishing at the last second. But most of the tournament was hosted on the previous patch, so they decided to play the final days on it as well. And I'm glad we got the opportunity. 1 HP! But the plot armor that herO was equipped with once again holds strong. The second Adept is also following. Really, don't do it. Don't do it. 15 HP! Yeah, but one more hit could make the difference. The extra little distraction. He doesn't get the hit. He draws a little bit of fire in every sentence of the word. And, well, the second Adept gets away. And superficial damage at best. In fact, Maru lost nothing. Maybe a couple weeks off his life from the stress of facing herO's early game. herO just builds a Zealot. He's walling off like it's Zerg versus Protoss. Well, no, because he's actually walling off coherently, but... well, now what? Now the Reaper Hellion just kind of strolls right in because of the lack of aforementioned wall. The Adept Shade is chasing. The Hellion in the main, lining up some of the probes. One down. Adept takes out the Reaper. Citizens arrest Hellion. Another shot. Stalker comes around, tries to finish it off, and it's not going to be enough. Only one kill. And, well, the buffet table of units in the early game here. Moving to the units lost tab. In Maru, 3 barracks on the way. No third CC yet. A lot less likely to happen in this matchup early on, because very simply, you need enough units to deal with the Protoss follow-up. Protoss do not respect anything. They don't respect the spoken word. They don't respect Defender's advantage, and they don't respect you. Unlike me. Like and subscribe. But if you don't have a at least a small base of units, you'll get torn apart. And the Widow Mine drop is coming in. Blink's still a long way off. Widow Mine, no! It's a disaster! Oh, no! Okay, it's a kerfuffle. It could have been so much worse, but it definitely could have been better. 1 HP on that Widow Mine, but that's all it takes. It fires it off. 3 probes dead. And, again, it could have been much, much worse. But the medevac gets away, the more valuable part of this composition. And Maru has a bunker on the low ground. He does not have one in the main. The Adept Shade is scouting ahead. There is no other vision, but a Templar Archives is already on the way behind this. herO is smoke and mirrors. And, well, he might be able to choke him with some smoke inhalation, but otherwise, this is feigning the aggression. He gets the Adept to the high ground. The Blink, don't do it. Don't do it. He has the high ground. Okay, well, that's, you know, that's fine. I'll take that. Maru shoots his own refinery, which, just making sure the guns work on that siege tank, getting a little antsy there, clearly. And, well, behind this, herO has Storm, Charge, and a 3rd Nexus, and almost nothing else. He has 8 Stalkers in total. Maru is putting together a deadly push, but he has to do some damage. Maybe he doesn't have to kill herO, but he has to get close, because herO... Well, I was going to say herO's going to have the economy, but he actually only has 44 probes. He is very intentionally not building anymore until I started that sentence just to make me look mad. But making sure he has the warpins, making sure he has the gateways on the way. He needs the weapons of mass production to deal with the strength of the Terran timing. the stim and the combat shield, combined with siege tanks behind. Gateway units are not enough. You need splash damage or overwhelming numbers. So herO is gonna fake it till he makes it. The Warp Prism threatening, but does he believe him? Maru does not. He knows. It's a fake. He absolutely knows. He did not respect that at all. But look at this Terran army. Look at the girth of it. Look at the size of it. And most importantly, look at the supply. 110 to 90. But the Templar have a tendency to change the game. And he lays down the Storm. He rips through the siege tanks, the Stalkers, and the Storm combining. The Sentry hung out to dry in a field, a deluge of Psionic Storm. And just like that, Maru's most important units of this push, well, I guess the medevacs are probably just as important, but the siege tanks, the thing that helps them actually push forward, are ripped apart. Though the Templar themselves will be gunned down as well. Another Storm, not quite clipping the Widow Mine, slides around the edge. Medevacs doing what they can, but is what they can good enough? Meanwhile, the supplies drags the Widow Mines into what's left, the dregs of the bio. And the medevacs try to pick it up. He's trying to get to the high ground, but there's nowhere to run. And every second he takes, every step he takes, they'll be watching. That's why they're called stalkers. But there was no high ground vision because that that Warp Prism was a fake. He does not have an observer. He just started a robo in 2 forges, so herO filling in the rest. Maru behind it taking his 3rd command center. herO may very well be able to delay it, and maybe more than that. He takes out another medevac. Marauder stuck in the corner. The command center will complete. The SCV definitely not getting hazard pay, though it does deserve it. Tries to drag in Prairie Dog Micro and the Widow Mine to minimize the shot, and herO just shoves in. The Archon, not so good in tight spaces. The Zealots also struggling. Behind it, Widow Mine dropped terrible damage. I was gonna double up on the terrible damage, but it simply was. It was only 5 kills, which still enough to keep Maru within striking distance economically and within striking distance more literally. But herO is rallying across the map, warping in at his 3rd and joining up at the front. herO takes the economic hit and then takes a 4th. Widow Mine will drop again. It is not cloaked. It does not have the Drilling Claws upgrade, so he doesn't need detection for that moment. But another Widow Mine. And herO, the altar, the sacrifice, and he actually does, and he'll take a Stalker and he gets a probe. Buy one, get one free. Pretty good deal there. Stalker costs literally twice as much as the Widow Mine. So anything extra is also nice. And now a very real Warp Prism is on the way. The Double Forge being chrono boosted. And the Widow Mine's down the center. We'll take out a couple Zealots, but a few more charging in the glorious battle. But Maru already has Ghosts. Not too surprising considering the propensity towards Storm, but not something you usually see at such relatively low supply. On the other hand, herO is shifting towards the Robo Bay, the Colossi, potentially. Maybe even Disruptors, but Colossi, a much more obvious counter. The feedback, 0 out of 5. Healed the people who murdered my friends. Maru gets the energy wiped out of most of his medevacs. But the health is going to need to be wiped out of the rest of the bios. herO just not reacting to the obvious push. He's got 2 Templar and a Prism. And the pre-MPs gets 1 Storm and then loses the Prism with a Templar inside. Waiting through the Storm, though. Meanwhile, a single Widow Mine on the high ground. Ugh. Another dash of probes. But wait, there's more. The Widow Mine's in the natural. There's no cannon there. And 66 probes apiece. But the Blight Stalkers will chase down 1 medevac. And the charge lots will eviscerate the rest on the ground as he chases it down to the top left corner. But the Widow Mine drops will continue. The pitter-patter of explosive missiles across the land, though he didn't know that one was still so far off cooldown. Meanwhile, the Widow Mine's just fired again. A full 30+ seconds. And the Widow Mines of the natural herO plummets to 69 probes, which may seem nice, but not as nice as having a better economy. Not as nice as having a fully extended thermal lance. Only one of us between me and herO so far, but he's working on the upgrade. He's got his tech corner in the main. Let's hope no medevacs make it that far, but the extended thermal lance for the extra range on Colossi to keep, ideally, well, all of the Terrans at bay, especially the Ghosts. Were considered light units now. Well, that's it. So the tags are debuffs. Light, armored, massive, These are all so you know which units do extra damage to them. Well, I guess massive is also to break force field and ignore crowd control. So, not exactly. But light and armored are both debuffs, effectively. Or at least tags that only work against you. What? Air weapons level 1. Who is this? And what did you do with herO? He's upgrading air weapons level 1 and getting 8. Well, he knows it's Maru. Believe it or not. He looks across the stage. Yep, that's Maru. The guy I probably flew here with. Was hosted live in France not too long ago, but... I can't. Maybe less than 10% of the time have I seen herO go for the late game, the Sky Toss, as opposed to the Zerg Toss. Now, what's the difference? Zerg Toss is just wave after wave, direct stride style, having so much economy that you just overwhelm in a war of intense attrition. Whereas the Sky Toss style is much more of a siege, trying to compete with Vikings and Liberators and Ghosts at range. The thing is, Tempest and Templar are good, but they're not nearly as supply efficient as the Terran army. And Maru trying to prove that right now. The Storms, putting a line between them, a few SCVs a little bit forward. How many gates in total? Just 10 gates? I say just, but that's still a lot of production. Maru, with only 1/1 upgrades, herO has caught up and surpassed him, as the chrono boost on the double forge has been incessant. A single disruptor, a whole gaggle of Templar, and a duo of Colossi. The splash damage, a potential tsunami. But at the same time, a fusion core is on the way for Maru as he works towards that tier 3 tech, either medevac energy regen or liberator range. And I think energy regen makes a lot more sense early, considering he has exactly 0 liberators, which is not very many. The Storms, parts of the Red Sea. 2-2 is now done. Maru gonna be spoiling for a fight, I think. Though, this style of Terran, he's expecting herO to do the Zerg Toss. The wave after wave of Zealots and Stalkers and maybe a few splash damage units mixed in there for flavor. Whereas herO is actually going for Tempests. The thing is, Tempests are more anti-Liberator. He's playing like a Protoss versus Zerg style. Though, there's only 22 Marines and 4 Vikings. Maru relying on Marauders. herO's gonna do a shield battery push. I don't think this pylon is for reinforcements. I think it's for shield batteries. In order to actually siege the Terran. This is not... no? Are you allowed to do this? Yup! Oh, he brought his power bank with him! The shield batteries are on the way! And he's gonna try to siege directly. Does he have tectonic destabilizers? No. He doesn't have the anti-building damage upgrade. The mothership is halfway done. I can count on... less than one hand. Well, we'll just do one hand. Let's not make it... the amount of times I've seen a mothership against Terran over the last year or so. And no hands, I think, players who aren't herO who've done it. But herO with the shield battery push, a gateway to... oh, wait! There's no detection! Oh, wait, there was an observer, but it just wasn't close enough. He's stimming forward. The disruptor will be popped immediately. The Vikings challenging the Tempest. The EMP wiping out their shields. The Colossi trying to cut into it, but there's simply not enough damage. The Protoss army is too brittle, and Maru is tearing right through it. The Marauders stutter stepping. The Colossi top leg. The Tempest are taken out of the sky in a massive cinematic of a warping. The Zealots taken... it wasn't a super pylon, because of course it wasn't herO. But the Zealots eventually make it onto the field, and will stop the bleeding for now, or whatever it is the Protoss do. I don't know if they have blood or if it's like a plant-based fluid. What? There's an icon for that. Some of our new quality of life updates, respective of which patch we're on, but the time warp from the mothership is here. How many orbital commands? Just 3, which means there's not a guaranteed scan by any means on a regular basis. Maru has not been able to go for the Turtle Terran where you batten down the hatches and you just build a wall of command centers. He's barely been able to wall them out at all. But herO has gone for the much more expensive, harder-to-replace unit composition. I mean, it's a mothership. It's Tempest. There's a Colossus just kind of hanging out there on its own. Bit of a lone wolf, which is really dumb. But, you know, to each their own. Tectonic destabilizers. Those Dorito-dusted Tempest shots slamming in. EMP brushes against the mothership, who can has plenty of shields, at least for now. The next patch actually nerfs that, but I digress. 3 ghosts versus a mothership. Well, if she doesn't have detection, then there's no reason they can't win the fight. But fortunately, the observer with it. It's now 5 next time. herO doesn't have much in the bank, and he's lost not too much more. It is a precarious army, though. It very much relies on taking a fight from the right angle, and Maru's acutely aware of that. The Tempest firing off their shots, but the Vikings closing in. Now, Storm is a historical and practical counter to the Vikings, but... Oh, and the Pylon warping in. The Stalkers will complete the Storms! Category 5 down the center, but the EMPs, that's the end of it. There's no more Storms. He's kiting back. Is there time warp on the mothership? Indeed, there is. That's going to be absolutely critical. He wants to draw Maru into a fight, then use the time warp to keep him there in a spot where he could actually kill him. But Maru too slippery right now. The Vikings and the mothership, still no time warp, chasing it down. Storms with the energy recharge. And herO's Death Ball is continuing to march forward, but Maru is giving as good as he's getting right now. The Tempest, though, guaranteed to get some shots off. Blinking away at the army. Another Marauder here, a few Marines there. Actually, the biggest risk for the Tempest is overkill because of those massive balls that they put together and shoot directly at a unit. Putting 4 of them into 1 Marine certainly isn't worth it. That was one of the places you can time warp. Indeed. A scan. Maru up to 5 orbital commands. The Vikings snipe off. Maru has no ship weapons upgrades, nor mech armor. It's shared between ground and air. So, herO with +1. I believe that allows, 5 Tempest shots? The +1 is actually a pretty big breaking point for the Tempest, because weapon upgrades scale with damage, as opposed to armor and shield upgrades, which only reduce attacks by 1. And that's why, usually, especially Protoss, but most compositions in general prioritize the weapons. Few Stalkers at the front, but Maru 3-3. He's just now starting ship weapons for the first time. A scan. He's gonna scan the Legion of Zealots. Maru moving forward. A few probes on the front line. At this point, it's more of a problem for him to have this many. Maru dropping back. As the Tempest, he could really use an Oracle or 2 for Revelation. The charge lots have swung all the way through the base. Gutted the 3rd. He's fighting on the field. Huge time warp. And that one caught most of the army, and will slow it down. The Ghost will cloak. The minerals are almost entirely mined out. The gas is gone at the first 2 bases. The planetary fortress. Oh, it's so important. The active cloaking. He knocks out the planetary. That position has confounded him for the last almost 10 minutes, and herO finally breaks it. The Tempest fire off another volley, but the map is dark and full of Terrans. And you don't want to embrace the glory of battle too early, but there's not nearly as much vision as the Tempest have range, especially against air. That's why the observers and then potentially oracles are so important. But herO, stepping forward. Maru's just gonna go. Time warp on cooldown. Mothership gonna be taken out of the sky. The Vikings knocking on the door right now. The Marauders stepping right through it. And the Tempest shield stripped away. There's almost nothing underneath. The energy's gone. The Templar are gone. The Zealots are warped in. But that's so much bio. Where are the Storms? The Ghosts are fighting against the Zealots heads up, and they're putting their heads down. The charge lots come back around from a counterattack. Maru going for the full-on almost bait. Well, it's not a base trade if you're not trading anything. All the observers are back home to see what's going on. Wonder what happened there. An Oracle, a little bit late. The revelation, oh, probably shouldn't be here. Not exactly a high-level one, to say the least. Maru jammed into a corner. The Zealots don't work so well in tight spaces. And Maru, he just cleaves right through the entire army. herO ran out of splash damage. The well ran dry. The EMPs helped it there. And he's rebuilding Colossi. He doesn't have that overwhelming economy you might expect. 72 probes, barely more income. In fact, Maru now has the income lead, as I assume some mules are happily mining as he's moved to a command center down the center. There are 11 ghosts and a smattering 8 marauders, 24 marines. But herO, he was on a Bugatti composition with a Honda Civic budget. Like, Tempest Templar with Mass Colossus is not something you can just replace. And Maru has an incredibly mobile army. It's just Marines, Marauders, Medevacs, and Magos. The M&M. The Colossi out in front. herO, I think, just realizing. Trying to target fire. Archon finishes just in time. Getting a few more lances out. The Ghosts eating the brunt of it, which is best case scenario for herO here. But he's been beaten back. Though it's almost impossible to straight up beat herO down. He is refilling. Disruptors. The Observers out in the midst of everything. He has bases in the corner. He's rebuilding probes. Even chrono boosting them out. He's got +2 shields alongside the 3/3 upgrades. Weapons and armor, of course. More Zealots dead. But Maru just waited for his moment and herO granted him it. Disruptor shot mildly inconveniences some of the Ghosts and Marauders. The Templar will come together at an Archon after dropping a couple storms. Trying to use this little gap in the center of the map for the Zealots. Maru. It's getting really dangerous. herO made a few missteps here. And Maru is not someone you can afford them against. This was not the Mass Liberator Turtle Terran. He didn't even get advanced ballistics. Actually, the presence of mind to realize he probably doesn't need it against Mass Tempest. He's not going to be going for the Liberators. But the Colossus again toppled by the Marauders with their Punisher grenades. The actual name of the attack. EMP on the Templar. The Templar shredded. And the Disruptor shot down the center. Cores out the Marines. But there's more than enough left over. And herO. Oh no. herO with the optimistic Tempest army. Well, it looked good right up until it absolutely didn't. Just getting run over. And he's down to 100 supply. He has nothing left. Again, this wasn't the Zerg toss. He did actually have to trade well. Right now, he's trading like it's NFTs in 2021 and looking only mildly less silly. Maru knows herO too well. Just let him make the mistake and capitalize on it when you can. There's no more detection. The Ghosts can just cloak. They don't need to. They could if they wanted to. Okay, it's important they have that option. GG! Maru just tearing through it all. And herO, a devastating loss after having the much more surgical unit composition, trying to put together a shield battery push in the middle of the map. He didn't really have the core of the army. I think a lot of the time, Immortals are what hold it all together. Maru loves Marauders. You can't spell Marauders without Maru. So, game number 2. herO in the top right in the blue, Maru in the bottom left in the red. Well, I misspoke. herO almost entirely in the top right in the blue, but he sends his very first probe directly across the map, 1/12 of his economy, at least until the end of this tournament. The last tournament played on the previous patch, in case you missed it. Since 90% of the tournament was played on 5.0.15, they decided to have a mod to play on the previous patch, despite Blizzard deciding that the next one would go live, which was an interesting choice to do that right in the middle before the finals of the biggest tournament. But, you know, the intern works in mysterious ways, just like herO. Has anyone ever seen herO and the Blizzard Balance intern in the same place at the same time? I haven't. Now, would herO nerf Warp Gate dramatically and want to start with less workers? I also think probably not, considering herO has won more major tournaments on the previous patch than everyone else in the world combined. And he's going for another. So, well, we'll see if he can get one more under his belt before we move on. Not looking great so far, though, as I kind of zoned out and realized that herO actually lost that game. This is not a rare occurrence where it feels like herO was winning, but he somehow managed to navigate the narrow path towards total defeat, just losing his entire army in one fateful fight and being completely unable to rebuild it. It's happened before, I'm sure it'll happen again, but it's exquisitely painful every time. Maru letting him walk directly into his death and maybe helping him there a bit. So Maru goes for the 2 gas, which clearly opting for more damage early if possible. And that's kind of what we've seen between these two in the fed. I'm actually kind of shocked that we got to 3 base versus 3 base at all. Most of the time these two face, the game time averages low single digits. Okay, maybe mid. But 1 base all-ins, proxy racks, proxy gateways, proxy stargates. Pretty much everything you can put on the other side of the map, and some things you really shouldn't, are much more common between these, not in Protoss versus Terran, in Maru versus herO specifically. So, the probe comes back around, the Stalker in the revolving door here. A Cyclone is nearly done, finishes off what the probe started. And another Stalker on the way across. Little bounce to the side, the Cyclone nearly done, Starport almost completed as well. But the Cyclone can... well, it's going to be a bit odd, as 2 Stalkers can kill a Cyclone, but 1 Cyclone can easily kill either of those Stalkers with good micro. They're both incredibly dangerous to one another. The fact that Maru is unable to build this command... that's his next supply depot, by the way, in most builds. So if he doesn't finish this in a timely fashion, he gets supply blocked at a very key time. I think he canceled a Cyclone here to make sure he would have the gas and supply for the Banshee. But he actually has to build, yeah, like, he's building another supply depot just to make sure it all comes together. So herO, it wasn't much this time, but it was enough. And he catches... stop right there, criminal scum. Pretty sure that's actually lore accurate. His Reapers are all, like, criminals or... political dissidents. And I mean, who is it nowadays? I get a hell yeah, brother. I know. Manx did nothing wrong. Tarsonis was an Maru with a cloak Banshee. But herO going for a much more stocks... what is this? Guys, hello? Probe? Nope, nope. The probe tried to get anywhere else and jamming up the Stalkers. Thankfully, eventually everybody will get where they need... where are you going? I was gonna say get where they need to go. I just didn't know they were, where are you going? Who are you, Bagel Bites? He's just probe scouting? Yeah, why not? Meanwhile, Banshee... spotted. Cloak done. Warp Prism completed. Observer in production. So, the Banshee clearly seeing the Stalkers. The Stalkers... wait, where are you going? Just gonna leave? Well, he's gonna lose probes. But, herO does not seem to want to play defense. He says the best defense is a good offense. And, well... The Blink Stalkers are on their way across. He does have an observer back at home. I don't think there's enough space, right? Apparently there is. There's enough airspace in the back. But that's a lot of Stalkers. A Zealot out in front to tank the tank damage. Blinks forward, knocks out the tank, kills the Cyclone, deletes the bunker, and he can get a blink out if he needs to. Meanwhile, the Banshee tries to come in, but a shield battery protects the mineral line. And just like that, Maru's defenses are almost entirely shattered. He can go forward one more time. Easily one-shots the tank. And one tank is not enough. The probe can tank the hit. Not quite. Don't do it. He blinks forward with one, doesn't quite time it out perfectly, but it doesn't matter. The Ghetto blink back with the prism, and with 0... Somehow these tanks just keep popping out right when he needs them. But he needs more than one, and he simply doesn't have it. There's no detection on this side, but the Banshee runs out of energy. Thankfully, a couple seconds later, then herO backs off. herO just now taking a third. He does have to, well, keep the pressure on if possible. Blinks in, knocks out the tank, goes for the Raven, looking for the Banshee, but either way, the next tank is for once not done. The Marines are being thinned out. The Banshee, probably the greatest threat. The tank completes. But herO warps in another round. And he's not biding his time. He's minimizing Maru's. He eats a shot, blinks in, Maru retargets, doesn't get the hit. Banshee cloaks with the dregs of energy it has. Oh, it's gone! And it's just gone. The Banshee runs out of energy, not that it would have mattered, for much longer. And herO just blinking his way past. Easily. It's already over, but the G's. herO, decisive victory with the Blink Stalkers. Maru trying to get cute with the Banshees. And herO just slapped him across the face. Looking more one-sided than a Mobius strip as we tie things up in game number 2. Well, there you go. herO not taking no guff. And also the commitment to cloak Banshee without knowing for sure if there's a robo or... It was a bold move. But it did not work out for him. I don't blame Maru for trying it, but I love herO's decisiveness. He sees the Banshee flies by. Who does that? The Banshee flies by him, and he goes forward. He says the probes will eventually figure it out. Eventually we'll have something to defend. But think of the damage I could do. And certainly, the damage he did. We're all tied up. Game number 3. herO again in the top left, Maru in the bottom right, and herO again sends out the probe. I haven't yet ascertained the method to this particular madness. As herO, it seems like he just flips a coin. Or, I don't know, rolls a set of bones and sprinkles some sand over them. Shifts his hand over like a shaman. And then breathes deeply. The sand gets in his nose. He sneezes. He looks down. And he sees. Ah, it's a probe. I should send that out. I don't... And that is about as coherent as I ever think. No. Well, to pull it back a bit and break the fourth wall just a little. herO clearly has some method to the madness. It's just... I think the YouTube comments said it the best. Yes, you, too. herO actually seems like he has fun playing this game. And I think that guides him sometimes. He's like, maybe this isn't the best idea, but it is a good idea. Just send it. See what happens. Drag him down. And beat him with experience. And until Dark returns, apparently, I did not verify this. I should have verified before I get hopes up. Dark said after he finishes his military service, I believe in just under 4 months now, a year and a half, he will be returning to professional play. So. I'm verified now. Ah, yes, he posted 2 months ago looking for teams and sponsors and saying he's done in 6 months. At least that's what I found. So yes, he is still looking for it. And he will be back. That is actually the first time I didn't see that. I haven't followed. I didn't want to know it was true until it happened. But that lifts my heart. And maybe we can get the triumvirate back together. Maru, herO, and Dark. As Korea has been hurting for a top tier Zerg. I'm so sorry, Solar, but we need someone. Oh, the probe gets the kill, and he gets away with it as the Reaper. Seems like he has bigger fish to fry, but so far the Adept has less kills than the probe. I'm just saying. 2 Adepts now, making things even more difficult. As, well, the Reaper technically outranges Adepts, but it is a very finicky thing. As the animation time and the acceleration and all those silly things, it does not take much for the Adepts to kill the Reaper, or the Hellion even. And with the Shade ability, of course, they can close the distance even faster than the Reaper Hellion can run away. Just take a look around. And he actually completes it. 1 Marine. Doesn't quite hit all of his... How did he miss that shot? Huh. Meanwhile, just trading. Actually doing a lot of damage here. Almost everything. Very uncomfortable with this situation. Though several of the units survive it. I can't believe I just looked up whether Dark was coming back mid herO versus Maru cast. Though actually, that is one of the most believable things here, but... What a day. Robotics facility. Now completed. Blink on the way. And if it ain't broke, well, the Protoss can't fix it anyway, so it doesn't really matter. But Blink and Robo. Robo with access to observers, for obvious reasons. And Blink is just by far the most utility. The Widowmine drop comes in. The Widowmine drop goes out. You can't explain that. Well, the medevac is taken out. The second Widowmine, Observer revealed. Not that he can do anything about it. Meanwhile, the Reaper Hellion boxed out. Reaper taken down. And herO. The swaying moods of herO. This time around, herO just played defense. It may have something to do with the level of commitment. Like Maru, a Widowmine drop is... It's like a second date, not an engagement ring. A Banshee, on the other hand, is a lot further along. As it requires you to have a tech lab on your starport, another 100 gas. Really, you need 2 Banshees to be useful and to justify it. It's a huge investment. Whereas a Widowmine drop is about the greatest risk-reward ratio of almost any sort of early pressure in the game. So, herO threatening. He's got an Observer. He's going to threaten with the Shade as well. But there's enough bio. A Raven, but the Spylon. He knocks out the Observer, but herO will spot the Raven with the Spylon. And doesn't have any units. Did he see it? Does he care? Those are 2 different things. Meanwhile, just blinks in. I spoke a bit too soon. What? He just walks out? Gets away with murder. But the Raven will trade it. And there's enough for another auto turret here. He does not have a shield battery in the main. This is completely undefended. Another auto turret is actually going to rack up the kills. This Raven. And there's 2 Widowmines. Don't do it, herO! Oh, he spot. I don't actually know if he sees the Widowmines, but there was enough bio there to discourage him. He's working on the bunker, taking away the SCVs, blinking back one at a time. The staggered blinks are so effective against minimal bio. It's really wasteful to just blink back with everything when you could do it in stages and continually keep the pressure on. The Widowmines are now at the front, just in time for herO to go in the main with the Warp Prism. 4 Stalkers enough to one-shot SCVs in a single volley. Not exactly the most dangerous drop, but it's very safe. Well, at least relatively safe. Until you lose your Warp Prism and have to recall your Stalkers, in which case it gets significantly less safe. herO! Losing the Prism is rough. The Raven comes back home. Helps him take out the Observer, potentially. Though the Observer micro is honestly better than the Warp Prism micro, which is a little sad. Nice scan, Maru. He was so spiteful. He wanted that Observer so badly, and it will cost him a scan, and he gets nothing for it. And now, herO? Charge is done. He's gonna fight on the field. Guardian Shield pop to reduce the damage of all ranged units hitting within the shield. Unfortunately, the Zealots just keep charging forward. He's trying to keep the Guardian Shield nearby. The Widow Mines snipes one, blinks out of another. Well, tries to blink out of another. The Sentry's just gonna go off into Narnia. And, well, it could have been better. It could have been worse. There's a Robo Bay in wherever the probe was when he decided he wanted a Robo Bay. Dorito Dust, the anti-armor missile gonna soften up a lot of the charge. Lots of the Stalkers doing what they can. Widow Mines will burrow. And +1 is done for Maru. Giving him a decisive... The boys! What? Hello? He sees the Robo Bay upgrading. And he knows once the Colossus Den is on the field, it's only gonna get more difficult. The Widow Mines... They don't discriminate, and the SCVs will take a lot of the damages while the Colossus comes out in time. The force field to hold the line. The Stalker count is too damn high. The Marauders stimming forward, but it's too much. herO holds, and Maru pulled the boys. It felt like out of desperation. He saw the Robo Bay, but usually you would be a little bit more proactive about it. He was active, but it ended up being a con instead of a pro. herO holds, and this time on defense, takes game number 3. Maru, he thought he maybe had a window, so he jumped right out of it. Unfortunately, he was several stories up, and he crashes and burns. Well, kind of both, literally, between the medevacs getting taken out and the Colossi. Does he do it on purpose? Does he put his Robo Bay in the most vulnerable position just to bait Maru into a desperate all-in timing? Is it one of those Forrest Gumpian Protoss things that just... I don't think anyone, including herO, nor Maru, can answer that question. But we have more to be asked. In game number 4, herO takes 2 in a row. And this time he decides not to send the probe at the beginning of the game. Like I said, I don't know the method to the madness. But so far, 100% win rate sending the probe out to start. 0% win rate when not doing so. But I don't know if the sample size is quite large enough to draw some decisive conclusions. Though that's never stopped the internet before. Okay, like and subscribe if you agree or disagree. See proof. I've spoken. And will continue to do so. That's kind of my whole thing. The probe. Dallying around. Dallying. You know what? That's right. Okay? There's definitely some dallying. Maybe some dillying as well. Which sounds vaguely uncomfortable. For the Terrans. Then again, that's a laundry list of things. Reaper on the way. 1 gate expand for herO. And notably, Maru not going for the 2 gas. But instead, 1 Rax expand. So, puts the factory together. Was this a gas first? Not quite. But this means less ability to get damage done early, but more economy to fall back to. The early pressure has not been working out. Even when he gets damage against herO, herO just kind of shrugs it off and whips around and sweeps the leg and gives you a wet willy. And you're like, what is that? And then he slices your throat. with a side blade, which cauterizes it immediately. But, you know, it's still not good for your health. And then he rubs some sand in it. Because I've heard it's coarse. And like this analogy, irritating. And seems to be everywhere. The Stalker, the Reaper, the Stalker, the Reaper. And scene. Well, hello there! Let me in! Did you hear that? Must have been the wind. A Stalker, if it had a mouth, I'm sure it would scream. I have no mouth, but I must balance wine. And if you've been following the discourse of the last few weeks, well... never stopped the Protoss before. Blink, on the way. Will we add the robotics facility, or is something more, oh, the body block! Jiggles the Stalkers into position to shut down the Hellion. He's gonna chase the Reaper as well. 2 more gates, and the robotics facility. Meanwhile, Maru, tank first. So not even bothering with a Cyclone. The only factory unit was the Scouting Hellion. Loads up a medevac, 1 Widow Mine. Okay, well, the Widow Mine as well. Widow Mine and 6 Marines. Pretty much everything he has in order to try to put some pressure on. Still a long way off a blink. But the Stalkers are all back at home. Maru just goes in the front door, which... yeah, the Stalkers are there. There's a chance that herO was out on the map, as herO does. And the least defended part of the map may have been the natural. But unfortunately, herO anticipates it, defends it. He's going to take the 3rd base on the right side, and then mine through the mineral wall, which takes several trips in order to open up a path. Mineral wall is actually the strongest walls of all. They can't be destroyed by nuclear missiles. They can only be mined through slowly by workers. Really, we should make all our walls out of minerals. You know what I meant. Charge! Already out the way. Is herO just sitting back? What did he see? What did your elf eyes see? Protoss are like space elves, right? Plants. Space elf plants. We're getting off track. This Phoenix, though. Laser focus gonna spot. Enough. He sees the Raven. He sees the reactor building on the starport. And he even sees a reactor building on the factory. Which tells a story. A story likely of mass Widow Mine. Or he's gonna flip that over to a barracks, but it's unclear yet which direction he chooses to go. Observer. Gonna confirm he's got the double tech lab. Is there an engineering bay? No. The Stalkers loitering around down there, threatening. There are 2 very juicy looking tech labs up there. Not that Protoss have any sort of idea of the concept, but don't make it weird. Don't make it weirder. Now, the engineering bay begins, but this is a lot. So, I don't know the last time Maru scouted for a 3rd Nexus. I don't know if it matters, because there's only so much... thing is, there's only so much Maru can do. The last choice remaining to him is whether or not he pulls the boys. He does have that engineering bay. He just started a 3rd command center in +1, so it seems exceedingly unlikely. But herO, gonna drop in the Zealots right as Maru is halfway across the map in purgatory right now. The Raven out in front. The Zealots will cut through. And this is already going to be critical damage to the economy. Maybe Maru regretting not pulling the boys across the map. He had to pull them anyways. The Zealots eviscerating a Marauder. He just goes for the natural, but there's another pylon to back it up here. The Stalkers, that's not enough gateway units, but he does take out one of the tanks, gets another, blinks away. That Colossus is so important. He desperately needs it. Without it, he dies. Well, herO taking terrible, terrible damage. Maru stimming through the reinforcements. The Warp Prism somehow lived, which is a rare sight and may help out. And maybe I spoke a bit too soon. Well, that never... Oh. Blinking out of the Widow Mines, but herO takes significant damage. 18 probes dead. Colossus delayed. Extended Thermal Lance has not even begun. Maru may have thrown a cold shower on this build, but he doesn't quite get through it. That was a solid victory. But herO, he's not going to sit back and lick his wounds. Literally not possible for the Protoss, as we already established. But instead, he's going to go forward. The sentries, the Warp Prism is mostly faking the idea of Zealots, and that might be enough to let herO get into position to box out the Marauders. Some of these units are already bruised from earlier. A Widow Mine slices into the Zealots. The Zealots slice it in turn. herO's up 20 supply. And it looked like Maru would just be tearing right through him, but instead, the force fields! Oh no! He has to pick up and drop on the other side. But he's already cut down some of the bio. herO's up 20 supply. A Colossus shows up. Uninvited, but that's never stopped him before. It's a Colossus. The boys will have to be pulled. 19 SCVs dead. Tries to take down the Colossus, but more reinforcements, more sentries, more force fields, and he's this close to forcing Maru out of the game. herO turns a almost game-ending defeat into the precipice of victory. If he had waited 30 seconds for Maru to regroup, get another round of production, heal up all his units, he would have had no chance of breaking through, even with reinforcements. But he literally did not hesitate. And that is that killer instinct / lack of foresight that constantly gives herO such an advantage. And Maru, desperate, pulling the rest of the boys, the force field zoning him out. The Marauders out in front trying to tank the fire. But there's just too much of it, and it burns too brightly. GG. herO takes 3 in a row, and he goes to match point. Maru, the turnaround. herO goes from down, the army supply is... There's no way that's the correct supply count there. They had way more than 10 army supply, but losing half the value and then turning it around immediately. And he does it again. We've seen herO turn a near victory into a total defeat. And we've seen him turn a near defeat into a decisive victory. But whatever herO does it's at the very least entertaining. We'll see if he can continue. In game number 5, herO in the bottom left in the blue, Maru in the top right in the red. And Maru, he has to win 3 in a row. A tall order on the best of days. And Maru, one of the few players who definitely could be up to it. These two, and here's the thing, herO with a significant lead, I've never seen a less consistent player. Okay, this is the same herO who beat Clem 4-0 and then lost to Clem 4-0 back to back. Okay, and now you might say, well, that says something about Clem. No, if you haven't watched the games, and that's not even a spoiler because that's not even the final series they played, but it was herO. The entire of each series was herO. He commands attention, for better and oftentimes for worse. And that's why I feel like when we have these discussions, when I keep saying, herO has won more tournaments than the rest of the world, including Serral combined, it doesn't really land. Because when Serral does it, It feels like he just completely outplayed the Einstein of StarCraft. He's 2 steps ahead, and it's unclear why everyone else is in the race or playing theirs. But herO, we're not even sure what he's playing. But we're glad he's playing in front of us. So thank you again to Maestros the Game and Comeback TV for hosting. As we get to match point, I gotta make sure we get all our shoutouts out, just in case. Especially since herO is building a pylon, and I think soon to be a Stargate? Just technically a proxy. Oracle? I honestly... It's too far away, I think, to be a Void Ray. But there I go thinking again. Which is not something we should be relying on around these parts. Alright, herO. Show me what you got. Meanwhile, Maru. He scouted that hero's expanding relatively greedily. That was a pretty early Nexus. It is an Oracle to start. Maru, if he builds a tech... Uh-oh. Oh, no. That means nothing will be done by the time the Oracle arrives. And it also means that if he builds a siege tank, there will be no anti-air in the main. Raven. Well, that's not a siege tank. He's using the factory as the add-on incubator. So even worse, actually. He didn't build a Widow Mine. He did not build a Cyclone. The Hellion gets into the natural. Probably a little suspicious. And does he even bother? Just sliding around. Does he trust there's no Widow Mine in that mineral line? Why would there be? He just flies right in. Not a care in the world. Well, besides the Marines. Maru preemptively pulls away. Lances through another SCV. And there's yet another Oracle on the way in. A Cyclone is halfway done. But that's still several kills worth of time. Especially delaying the production. Knocks out one. Works on the other. He can't overstay his welcome. Otherwise the Cyclone will take him out. But there's the Raven. Look at that micro. Recall. And he's out of there. What a save. Meanwhile, the Adepts in the natural herO with this fast and loose Oracle and whatever else sort of build. He's now killed 8 SCVs, a Hellion, the Reaper. Of course, those were sent across. 2 Adepts are traded out. The thing is, especially with the Oracles, there's no hope of moving across the map for Maru. His barracks were delayed. The Oracle, if not killing units, it can use Revelation. But I guess killing units and forcing him to respond is also good. Maru does not have an engineering bay. If he doesn't leave units at home, the Oracles could melt through a bunch more of his mineral line. So, herO has gambled. I mean, if ever there was a time to do it. Surprisingly logical gambling time from herO. But if there was ever a time to try to take advantage of Maru for cutting corners, it's now. And the Oracles have already, even if they spontaneously exploded right now, it would still have been worth it. And they're still alive, still threatening. And that's even better. Now, the biggest downside is how expensive Oracles are in the grand scheme. He spent 450 gas on all this, which severely delays any other tech. That means no basic upgrades. He does have charge for Zealots, which are, well, for all they're called that, they actually don't charge a lot individually. 100 apiece. One Oracle knocked out of the sky. He uses a scan to get it. There is no blink here. Maru, Raven takes some big hits. Cyclone locks on. Maru trying to chase this down. Stim, nearly completed. He's on the open field. The Guardian Shield going to be critical. There, the Force Field slices off a few more. The Widowmine is targeted just in time. The Oracle's also here. herO desperately trying to keep it alive and keep it from just flying into its death. He manages to do so, but Maru continuing forward. He has the bio units, and herO has unupgraded gateway units. Now, Maru doesn't have upgrades either, but the DPS density of a bunch of dudes with drugs and guns cannot be underestimated, and that's just good life advice. The Widowmine soften up the Zealots. The Marines and Marauders on the high ground will be ripping through the rest. Concussive shells now completing. But, well, the energy recharge to throw down the feedback on the two medevacs. And now these Marines and Marauders cannot be healed. Don't do drugs, kids. Do drugs, adults. Like and subscribe if you... Archons completed. A Robo just now on the way, and the distant horizon is potentially Colossi. But Maru's actually up by a few supply. Dancing back and forth. Trying to make sure the charges don't come through. Did he spot the I don't think he saw it.
We embrace the glory.
I don't care how much you embrace the glory of battle, you have to embrace your main base. And Maru's gonna do it first. He's targeting the Templar Archives. The recall back. Blink is now done, just in time to knock at least one medevac out of this. If Blink hadn't finished, Maru would have gotten away with it. If it wasn't for those meddling stalkers. The charge lots just chasing across the map, and there's a few reinforcements caught on the open field. Saves a couple. A very awkward, and herO's on the chase. He does not hesitate. He's sending it across the map now that Maru has been beaten back. He does have the third command center done, though. No orbital command knocks out another medevac, eats a couple hits to the face of the stalkers, but he shrugs it off and continues forward. The Archons right behind. The power overwhelming. The force fields lock him out of the base, but there is no base there. The fact that Maru hadn't yet taken his third will actually save a chunk of his SCVs, as it could have ended in disaster. A lot of the energy used, some of the SCVs out in front. Archons do splash damage, but they have to get up close and personal to deal with it. Another force field, emotional support field. Warp Prism's here. Widowmine does burrow, retargets onto the Archon, but herO saves it with a Prism just in time. Meanwhile, the Marines and Marauders are enough for now. +1 is done. herO's is a long way off. And without the charge lots in front, the Stalkers will crumble quickly. But the Archon being juggled out. But is this Cirque du Soleil? Or is it just a clown fiesta? Right now, it remains to be seen. But the Archon lives through it. Warp Prism, shield stripped away. Zealots reinforcing. The fourth Nexus is about done. herO's up by 11 probes. A Void Ray... A Void Ray. He remembered the Stargate. He's just going to throw a Void Ray in the mix. Why not? Because it's so expensive and costs a lot of supply. But I digress. Meanwhile, herO. One charge lot. A little bit more out in front. Eats it with the Stalker. A huge warp in. He's gonna let it complete. A single Widowmine. Slams in. Also softens up the medevacs. Meanwhile, the rest of the bio. Gonna zone out the Stalkers and the Archons. Slicing through the SCVs. 14 SCVs dead. Maru, 45 versus 69 probes. herO, no more in production. I think he realizes he's done the damage he needs. EMP, the Marines. Stalkers. Wait, what? One Marine? It's not enough. He doesn't get the Prism. That means he's chasing out of position, and herO very much going to take advantage of it. The Prism, he warps in some more, and oh no! Oh, yeah? Well, 16 SCVs dead. He finally gets the Prism. He knocks out the Archons, softens up the army, gets 2 Archons, and thinks about the Colossus. Where did that Void Ray go? Into the units lost tab, it seems. He's building another one, because it is Legacy of the Void, not Legacy of the Charge lot. Meanwhile, Colossus toppled. Marauders easily matching it. 1-1 done, but 2-1 is on the way for herO. The charge lot's chasing him down. The SCVs may have to be pulled for the umpteenth time. 23 of them dead. Not too many more than that remain. A few more on the front line. The charge lots whittled down. The stalkers blinking back one at a time. And there's other Colossus. What are you doing here? Colossus stepping up. Hello there. No, go away. It lives for now. The warp prism is nowhere to be seen. The Colossus in the units lost tab as well. The bio was in the main dealing with the prism. A refinery burns. But that's a whole lot of bio out of Maru. herO is up by 20 supply, but Maru has 30 more army supply. And the upgrades are even. The unit composition is better for Maru with just one Colossus. No extended thermal lance. And that means the Marauders can easily close the distance. There's a Void Ray! The herO Void Ray in every sense of the term. 2 Colossi now, but again, they don't quite have the range. EMP softens up the Archon and many of the charge lots. The medevacs are low on energy and HP, but there's not that much anti-air. The high ground, the concave, is not good enough for Maru to counteract the sheer amount of damage, but he's bringing it across. GG! It's just too much, and herO burninates right through him. The Colossi still going to work, even as we hit the victory screen. And, well, herO will be moving on. Maru will be moving out. 4 games to 1. herO with a... Somehow, despite the overwhelming scoreline, it still felt so close. But Maru just unable to compete with the method and the madness of herO. We'll see about the next patch for him, but... that was one of the most chaotic. It wasn't, the games weren't that crazy, but it just felt like a roller coaster the whole time. Where are you taking us, herO? I don't want off this wild ride. Hopefully you don't either. Be awesome if you got the means of motivation. Pay some admission by checking out YouTube membership or Patreon. But I hear liking and subscribing is still free, at least for now. Thank you to our mule tier patrons, Big Jig, Devin Door, Kate, Crazy Mouse, Mario Suit, and everyone else, including our YouTube members, which are up there as well. Thank you for reminding me, Mag1, by the way. But otherwise, make sure to check out this video. Jimmy picked it out just for you. Thank you to Comeback TV for Maestros of the game. Make sure to check them out while you got the opportunity. I mean, it's in French, but still, they're very passionate. And thank you for watching. I hope I made your day at least a little bit better. I hope to see you next time. We'll have the grand finals very soon. Good luck, have fun. Stay chill.